Question number 3. What is a molar mass of H3PO4? So, for these, the important thing to understand about getting the molar mass is that you want to be adding the constituents of its atomic mass to be able to get that. Just as a little side note, when you look at the name, well, the molecule H3PO4, it's good, not for this question, but it's always good to just recognize what that compound is. So right now we have 3 hydrogens, okay? In fact, we would actually ignore hydrogens for now and focus on this end. So PO4, okay? PO4, this is a phosphate ion, okay? That is something that unfortunately you kind of have to memorize, just because, especially with a lot of the 8s, like phosphate, nitrate, sulfate, these things you kind of have to recognize what they look like. And the key thing is that actually that because there's 3 hydrogens attached to it, we know that the phosphate ion is 3 minus. Okay, so this is composed of a phosphate ion and 3 hydrogens. So the cool thing about this is that when you start recognizing, you'll see that when a hydrogen is kind of just thrown in there, even if in this case it's 3, like when you have a main component and you see that hydrogens are kind of just thrown in, you formed an acid, okay? In this case, the phosphate drops the 8 and instead ends with the ic acid. So you will have phosphoric acid. That is what H3PO4 is. It's important to note this just because if the question asks what is a molar mass of phosphoric acid, this is a good way to approach it as well, to where it's now you're saying, okay, even though I don't have that molecular formula, I still recognize what phosphoric acid would be as, its molecular formula. With that being said, let's now calculate its constituents. So we have 3 hydrogens, okay, 1 phosphate, well technically yes, 1 phosphate, but 1 phosphorus and 4 oxygens, okay? And with that being said, that means 3 times hydrogen, so you want to multiply that actually by its atomic mass units, well, atomic mass, and that would be right here. You see this number where it says the weight? That is the number we're going to use, 1.008. Okay, that's for hydrogen. For phosphorus, its weight, you see that number at the bottom? That's 30.974, and oxygen 15.999. So now we'll do the multiplication, and 3 times 1.008 is 3.024. Okay, I believe at least. Always good to double check with the calculator if you have the opportunity. Yep. And phosphorus is 30.974, and oxygen should be 63.996. Double checking as well. Yep, alright. And then now that we have the individual components, you would add them all up together because that's just your total. So we have this plus 30.974 plus 3.024, and we get the molar mass is going to be 97.994. And the important thing here, don't forget your units. This would be grams per mole, because now you're saying that per mole, so for every 1 mole of H3PO4 phosphoric acid, you should have 97.994 grams of that molecule. Okay, so let's see how we did here in regards to that. All right, they're talking about the different properties of phosphoric acid and what interactions and exactly what solutions what formulas it's involved in. And here now they're now talking about the molar mass, and here they have it for us, 97.994. They do go ahead and discuss other aspects of it, like the density, melting point, boiling point, which is all good information too. The cool thing is that when you're doing like your chemistry lab preps, for some of you, they do ask you in terms of let's see, like you want to familiarize yourself with the materials you're using. You can actually find this information as well if you like search up like the not the WMIS, but it usually comes along with the WMIS, the workplace hazards materials information sheets, but it goes into further details about the certain chemicals that you're using, where it does list you like molar mass, melting point, boiling point, and other important things such as how to store it and what happens if you get some on you, and just things like that. Nothing, depending on the concentration, it's usually nothing serious, but it's just important, and it's stressing things like making sure that you rinse thoroughly, just because these are chemicals that you are dealing with, so they want to make sure that you're handling them properly. So if you're ever confused, that is something that you can always kind of search up to get actually like a good amount of chemical properties of that molecule. So with that being said, we have now the molar mass of phosphoric acid. So let's move on now to question number 4.